felt right, and I went all in, and then the show happened. So show was very good. I sold a lot of work, people liked the show, and then I was back at my studio, looking at my canvas, and the same question kept staring at me. What is my art? So what happens for an artist is he goes through something that is a high phase, which in terms of social space, and then he comes back to his own space, little space where he's trying to find himself, and there he always comes across that question. So I went one level deeper. Why art? Why was it that I had quit? What was my driver? Was it money? Was it fame? What is it that I was trying to get from art? Why was I devoting my life to art? And after some contemplation, I came to a point where I felt that I was doing art because I wanted to do art. It is not like money is important. Right? All of us, we can't stay hungry. We need money. Fame, yeah, it comes along. But that cannot be your prime objective if you are on a journey to find your art. It has to be for the sake of art, is why you would do it. I think it was quite incredible that when I was faced with that realization, saying this is why I'm doing art. Wow. Because it disconnects you from everything that's around you. Every social pressure that comes on you. Everyone who asks you, how many paintings did you sell? And you're saying, oh, okay, maybe one. All of that goes away because it's you and the canvas and your work, and you're trying to distill yourself through that work. The next question is it art that I want to make? What is it? Where do I want to take it? I want to make the greatest art in this world. It's an audacious statement. But if I'm not doing that, then what am I doing? My journey has to be so deep and so meaningful. And what I create has to be so distilled and so pure that it should just, it has to be divine, if I were to use that word. And that's the kind of art I seek to make. Not that I make it today, but that is the kind of art, that's where I want to go, is doing that art. So then I said, okay, now that I have reached this clarity that I want to create greatest art in the world, who decides great art? Some critic? Who tells me that this art is great? Me. Do I feel that this is a great art or not? It's very, very important for me to put that compass, the direction where I am moving to inside myself than from somebody else. Some critic starts clapping, gets into the habit of clapping about my art. I would never know whether I am doing it right or not. I change something in my journey, you would say, oh, I don't like this. So am I trying to satisfy his liking? Or am I trying to know if I am doing the art that I have set out to do? The compass has to lie within me. Which made me think of the experiences that I have had with great art. And one of the first of the experiences that came to my head was Paris. So when you're in Paris, there's Louvre, then there are these Louvre gardens, and at the end of the gardens there's a small museum called Musée de l'Orangerie. So once I generally was walking in those gardens and I reached that museum. And that is the time when I was not initiated into art. So I went into the museum, and this was the first floor. I didn't know which artist was displaying this work. There's an oval space at the top, white colored, and there are three huge works, maybe four, huge works around. So I just walked in without knowing who was it, what was being displayed. And I went close to the wall, and I'm so sorry, it's not really projected. I went close to the wall, I looked at the strokes, I looked at the color, I looked at the way the art was hung. I was trying to make sense of it. And I couldn't, I didn't know what it was. So I just went all around that oval shape, and then I came back. I stood in the middle of that oval. Do you see that table? That's where I stood. And all of a sudden, all these four paintings became alive. And I felt that I was standing in the middle of a lake that extended to infinity, which had weeping willows, which had water lilies. It was a lake and I was shivering. I had goosebumps. What was incredible to me is, without any knowledge, any comprehension, a single word by this artist or about this artist, just the art can give me this kind of sense, this kind of a feel. It's grand. Can you create goosebumps on somebody else's body by putting up a piece that you created? I said, wow, goosebumps are special. So I said, why can't that be the compass? Why not goosebumps? Let's make goosebump art compass. So what you're doing is, you're making an art, let that artwork gives you goosebumps. The problem with that is that when I'm making the art, I don't know whether I will get goosebumps or not. I can't plan goosebumps. Which means I need to make the art and then keep looking at it. And then it will just take me places. And that is the journey, right? That's how it is. Well, if you want that. One good part about this compass is I can't fake this compass. Can you fake goosebumps? You can't. It's an unconscious reaction to a fear or a pleasure that your body gives. So if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't happen, just throw it away. So when I just came to me saying that, this is the space where I want to be, this is the kind of work I want to make. If I want to make the greatest work in the world, I want to create the work that gives me goosebumps. That is my aim. Now, I want a recipe to goosebumps. Right? Now I want to create work that gives me goosebumps. I don't know how to manufacture goosebumps. When I go back to that Monet's paintings, I don't know what gave me goosebumps. Was it the size? Was it the color? Was it the finish? Was it the texture? Was it the lines? Was it the patches? What was it that gave me goosebumps? What is it that I can take from his art and bring it into mine, make it mine, and create from there? I didn't know. So I said, let me put together all the great art, all of it that I think is great, and let me look at it. Let me feel the goosebumps. Let me see what in it gives me goosebumps. So that's where the recipe to goosebumps started. Anybody can recognize this? This is The Thinker by Rodin. You see that man sitting on a stone, thinking, every muscle in his body, and everything just comes together, and it's all about that act of thinking. Somebody can distill the theme or the topic of the work and bring it into every aspect. It's amazing, and that's what I take from this. There's one more thing that I take from this, is that while I am making abstract art, I don't need to get goosebumps only from abstract art. This is figurative, realistic, and it gives me goosebumps. So it is like I'm not confined to art as a space or painting as a space. It could be anything that is an art. So I actually thought of a concrete road that gave me goosebumps. The way it was turning, it was going through mud, and this thick thing of concrete. I had goosebumps. I said, wow, this is timeless. I looked at some other work. Have you heard this guy? Do you know who this is? Let's listen to him. Thank you, Mr. Ma. This is Yo-Yo Ma. He's playing cello. He's playing Bach Prelude number 1. Listen to Bach through Yo-Yo Ma. It sounds just different if you listen to Bach played on piano. This guy fills in his magic in it. This guy brings it alive. This is what gives me goosebumps. Other thing that it does is it tells me that execution is super important. While the craft cannot be the art, there is a Bach who has composed these notes, but craft can take art to a different level, which he has done. Look at this guy. Anybody recognizes this? These are all brown appliances. They've been designed by Dieter Rams. Look at his work, the austerity, the simplicity, the clarity, the distillation, the materials that he's used, the forms. Look at those holes on that record player. You just can't arrange them better than that. There's nothing that is superfluous. There's nothing that is less. It's just there. There's tension. This tension of life. And you see it all in his work. This is the kind of work I wish to create. This guy. Anybody recognizes this guy? Mr. Darwin, who told us how we came into being. If you actually think that there was a puzzle which nobody knew and everybody had theories about it, and here is a man who writes it in 3 simple equations: survival of the fittest, theory of natural selection, one more, and then you're done. Can you imagine the kind of thought, the kind of observation, the kind of distillation he's gone through in creating, in breaking down all of it, all the species put together and coming up with a theory that he can write in 3 equations? Wow, that is beautiful. Science creates art. Do I understand science well? Look at the waves of the sea, the way they move the sand. Every time you will find a new piece of art created. Why? By the force, by the viscosity, by the weight of the sand grains. I try, and when I say that, okay, I learn from nature. This is how I learn from nature. It's not the nature that I'm trying to create, but I am trying to create how nature creates. That's the way I will actually be able to create great art. Not by just copying something that I see, but by being what nature was when it created these things. This is Nasreen Mohammadi's work. And the more I see her work, I realize that she has come down from the means of colors and canvas to paper, to lines. How simple can art get? It's not how many hours I spent on it, but it's just the work. It doesn't matter how much. She could have made it in 5 days, she could have made it in 5 minutes or 5 hours. Doesn't matter. But what matters is what you make. And that's it. Does it give you goosebumps? It does. This beautiful film by David Gell called Jiro Dreams of Sushi. If you've not seen it, you must see it. 2012 release. There's this guy called Jiro Ono. He makes sushi. And his restaurant is in one of the Tokyo subway stations. He charges atrocious amount for his one meal, which lasts 20 minutes. And he is a 3 Michelin star chef. And for those who don't know what Michelin stars are, 3 Michelin star means you can travel to the country to eat this food. It's worth it. So the kind of originality, consistency that he brings in is crazy. The other thing is he's been making sushi for 70 years now. When he started, he was told that sushi is done. But he took sushi to another level. And that is what my contribution to art must be. It doesn't matter what genre I work in. What is the kind of work I make in that particular genre? Just take one small, sharp space and just go deep and deep. And you will create something divine. This is a Zen thought. It's a beautiful thought. It says, when a flower arranger, and we had somebody doing it for the last 2 days, arranges flowers, he not only arranges the flowers, but he arranges his own mind. And mind of the person who looks at the flowers. What a beautiful thing. artwork actually can do that to you, right? And the way it has been put, it is so simple. Why leave that simplicity, just complicate stuff, throw in color, and then read somewhere which you don't call yours? Architecture. Mr. Louis Kahn created this. Louis Kahn's, this is Salk Institute, commissioned by Jonathan Salk, and this is on Pacific coast of the USA. It's all made in concrete. When he went to one of the garden specialists to create a courtyard here, he was advised to just create concrete courtyards. It's a symphony in concrete. And when you look at this work, you just feel that the sky will go, the sun will go, the water will go, but the building will stay. That's the timelessness that great art has and must have. I have one small film on Louis Kahn's another work, which is Exeter Library. And I would like you to look at it. It's created by Mr. film was made by Alex Brown. These guys are doing fabulous work. Look at the kind of work. Look, this kind of work. Last but not the least of my examples, there are a lot many more, is Mr. Rothko. So last year I went to Houston, the Rothko Chapel, where there are these 14 paintings which have been organized in an octagonal shape. And I had a lot of expectations. I went to Houston just to see his work. One is the seeing work on screen. More important is seeing the work in person, because work size itself can consume you totally. Right? So I went there and I had like expectation. And I said, today when I will enter, I'm going to feel that, oh my God, it really bored me. So I didn't go in for some time. I looked, I saw the work. It was 100 times better than my expectation. I couldn't imagine the work to be that beautiful, which I had seen and consumed in so many digital ways. What I realized is, in actual, the kind of oneness that he achieves through his work, the kind of feel that the entire space gets with this kind of work is amazing. And somewhere that needs to come in the great art piece. So these are all my inspirations, these are all my gurus, and that is where I'm learning. I'm learning all the time with these guys. This is the kind of space I want to be in. Nothing less. It's the greatest art in the world that I want to make. Let's come back to my practice, which is nowhere close to the greatest art, but going there. So what happens is, when you start going through these reflections, you start realizing, so this is 4 years back, when I used to paint with dry, pesky paint, keeping the canvas on an easel, and with a lot of force, and kind of, this is the kind of work that I would produce. So is it good work? Yeah, it is, but now the work has changed completely. Today, first, I have ditched the opaque colors, which is not there. Why? Because the photochemistry of a transparent color is different from an opaque color. The way the light would travel through and through in each layer, when there is an opacity that comes in, it stops. So opaque colors, to me, are handled with care. Transparent colors is where I can actually create a universe in my small piece of canvas. I work with these kind of tools. The tools, those tools are gone. I work with rollers. I work with tools that I made. My sister is a dentist, so I borrow tools from her. Because what I'm trying to do is and I don't know what will work and what will not work. This has been all the experimentation that has gone in. And that is when some of these tools have come into being. You see that one? This one? Can anybody guess what it is? Yeah, it's a balan. We make rotis with it. But the way this works very differently from this. The kind of force that I have is suspended roller. The amount of force that it will have on the canvas, and then the oil film, it is going to break, versus balan, which I can lift and I can slowly take. So I am almost forming the film of oil in which there is pigment which is suspended and floating. Imagine the kind of effect it can give to the art. So experimentation and prototyping is extremely important, and that is how it will come into being. The work is now in the moment. There's no labored work, there's no waiting. It's there now. I make it now. 3 hours, 4 hours, 6 hours, 10 hours. I just do it one shot. Happens, doesn't happen. I get the output, I don't like it, I trash it. For every work I keep, there are 4 works I trash, and that is the ratio. And hopefully one day the ratio will come down, no trashing. But that's how it is. Because if I want to have the beauty that comes with spontaneity, there's no other way but to do it spontaneously. This is my studio, quite a cluttered place. And this is how I start. On a horizontal space, I just put color and a lot of oil and start spreading. And then, once I spread it, I remove it. There is addition of color, there is removal of color. There is creation and there is destruction. Both are important for the life to be. I have to add color, I have to remove color. And that is when the tension happens. That is when breaking of pigment happens. That is when the effect happens very different. There's a lot of removal that I do in these works. And that's it. That's my journey. That's my inspiration. That's my work.